All right, it is now officially 12 p.m. Japan time, 1 p.m. Thursday here in Australia on the 23rd of April. Welcome everyone to the Dream Collective Leading from the Living Room live webinar series. Today we're really excited, super thrilled to be having a special guest with us, Head of HR, Katsuyoshi Sugita-san. Hi. Hi,
Hi,
Cass. Good to
hi
see
all.
you.
Thank you for
Hello.
having me.
Thank you so much. So we, to everyone who might be tuning in for the first time, we are the Dream Collective. So my name is Sarah. I'm the Managing Director for the Dream Collective. And so what we do here at the Dream Collective really is very simple. We are a diversity and inclusion global consultancy. And our mission is to working with businesses to help them attract, retain, or advance female talent in particular. And so over the sort of years, and particularly in the recent month and weeks, when we're faced with such uncertain time, a lot of our clients and partners are sharing with us that they really long for knowledge exchange and information sharing to hear about what other businesses and what other business leaders are managing through this unprecedented time. So I'm really excited to be having Cass with us today. And I'm pretty sure that we actually have people, we have over about, I think, 170 participants on the webinar today, dialing in from 8 different countries and locations. But I think no matter where you were, you probably since the late last year and early this year, you would have seen in the news about the 4 days working week introduced by Microsoft Japan. So we're very thrilled to be having Cass with us to share firsthand what that experience was like. So I will be the moderator today, and I'll be having the conversation with Cass today. For the first half of this webinar, we have prepared some questions. We'll go into a bit of an in-depth dialogue with Cass to get him to share his experiences leading the team and leading HR in Microsoft Japan during this time, learn from his experience, and we will be opening up the webinar for live questions from the audience. So in the bottom right corner, you will be able to submit your questions by clicking on the Q&A button. And we will be able to, and we have a team who will be reviewing and looking at those questions so that we can ask Katsan in real time as well to make sure that all your answers or all your questions are answered. So without further ado, I would love to kick off, Kat, to hear a little bit about your career journey so far. So Cass, if you can tell us a little bit about your professional journey that's brought you to this leadership position so that the audience, everyone who's dialing in today, can start to get to know a little bit about you. That would be fantastic.
Thank you very much. And before starting this, I got to say, Microsoft is not perfect, and also I'm not the best practice something. So I just want to share my experience and also my failures, a lot of mistakes. So let me start. So I'm a kind of hybrid of Japanese company HR and also international HR. And in my case, my HR foundation was really developed by my first employer. It's a Japanese manufacturing company. And then after that, I moved to international companies. And luckily, also, I got a lot of international assignment and project participation, project leading opportunities. All those things actually developed me a lot. And especially, I want to talk about one thing. My first supervisor, he was a very tough guy, and my supervisor in Japanese company, he really provided me the approach of fact-based and business-based HR. At that time, actually, we didn't have such a business partner type of word, and also we didn't have fact-based or maybe data-driven HR type of things, but he already had some of those concepts. And Then now I'm more interested in real business contribution than creating something cool, nice recruiting programs or development workshops. And in any of occupational surveys, I mean psychological survey, usually I got some result. Like my best role is sales director. So I'm very much result driven. And I want to add one more thing. It's my some experience in international companies. And after moving to international companies, always 360 degrees feedback and also executive coaching, the combination really helped me a lot. And I made a lot of mistakes and always I received tough feedback and also getting back to the challenge with some support of executive coaches. So I have been really working on my leadership development that way for the past 12 years intensively. And still I have a lot of opportunities to develop, I guess. And by the way, also I have many great mentors locally and also internationally. And after this crisis happened, more than before, I'm contacting those people, my executive coaches and my mentors locally and internationally. Then really, I'm having more chats with all of them. All those things really helped me a lot. Thank you.
Fantastic. And I'm really curious, what was the toughest feedback you have received, and how has that changed you in your leadership journey?
Oh, yeah, I'm very open and honest. So one time I received a very tough feedback from some of my peers. Okay, this guy, Katz, seems to be very much business driven and result driven, and the guy delivers results always in a very, very quick manner. That's great. But I don't like working together with him. I feel sometimes he is trying to manipulate me, manipulate things, something like that. I really didn't have such intention of manipulating things. So I was surprised and also I was disappointed. I was really discouraged. And then at that time, also I started to work together with executive coach. And he really helped me and also he really provided me also another painful feedback and suggestions and challenges. Then I really made a lot of leadership changes. Still, every day I'm trying to be better, but that one was for me the most difficult and the toughest feedback in my career.
Wow, I love that. And I think appreciate, Cass, for being so open and honest as well. And that's very much the spirit of this live webinar series. It's about really genuine, honest conversations that actually helps leaders, progress and lead better. And I think our individual experiences, the feedback that we receive, really build us to be who we are today. So, what do you feel maybe that's happened in your career, or maybe advices from mentors has prepared you to lead better during this uncertain time and during this crisis?
Thank you. Actually, I want to go back to the same guy, my first supervisor. And he always told me, prepare for the worst from my day one. And also the same person provided me a strong instruction. Fact-based decision is really everything. So when I face any sort of crisis or maybe difficulties, I was not in a panic. I just always felt I needed to collect more information and facts. Then I can make some scenarios between the best case and the worst case. And especially thinking about the worst case is really important. And when I got the sense that I can manage things, even in the case of the worst case, then I can be relaxed. Then I can sleep well. Actually, now I'm working very hard, but also I can sleep very, very, very well. I feel I'm controlling the situation, even though things can go worse, but still I feel I can manage things by myself together with my peers and my supervisors, my team members. So, by the way, interesting thing was he really didn't give me the first part, hope for the best. And I would like to be more well balanced between the two, hope for the best and also prepare for the worst.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it is really important, right, to have a balanced approach to it. And so can you give us an example of how you have prepared for the worst?
For the worst. Here, especially in this case, I think the worst case can be some real panic reaction. Panic reaction. I do believe here, at least in Japan, we have a very good healthcare system. So in reality, I think things will not go worse, but people's panic reaction can create another panic. I think that's the worst case. And also without collecting real data, facts, people can start some actions. That type of behavior can create more and more negative reactions and chaotic reactions. Those things are, for me, the worst case. And also, the situation will be uncontrollable. So this time, for me, the most important part is how to make things controllable and how to collect all the information and data quite quickly. And also getting more information, more practices from other companies or maybe other organizations. Microsoft Global already provided us a lot of instructions and data and facts, but local information, local data are also important. And sometimes people really hesitate to share things, but I think when we have some difficulties, we should share more than before, everything. I mean, how we are doing, what's the pain points, everything we can share. And then we can find some better practices or maybe some good know-hows. So,
yeah. Thank you for that. And so I think it's been a number of weeks, since the sort of coronavirus situation really sort of starting to affect the workplace. As the head of HR for Microsoft Japan, what has been some of the most challenging thing for you during this time?
Actually, quite similar to the previous question. And for me, the most difficult part is to be afraid of COVID things appropriately. I mean, people sometimes too much scared, and people sometimes do not recognize the risk. So in Japan, people tend to react too much, and people do not understand the risk accurately. So some people, especially, honestly speaking, even in Microsoft, some people, even senior ones, wanted to take some drastic actions, such as office close, almost immediately after we got the news. But that reaction was actually too much, in my opinion. And when we started such reactions, then people can take another action. And the key is how to understand the facts objectively and how to make the best or good decisions with others and quickly. And sometimes I got to be a bit tough to others and have to say no to others. And the communication is really the key. And here people tend to think about the other side too much, and then maybe we do not have clear communication. So clear communication is really, I think, the key in this situation, crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, everyone who's tuning in today probably have the same burning question around the infamous 4 days working week that Microsoft Japan introduced. And as the head of HR, of course, you played a really pivotal role in the planning and the execution of
Yes.
this 4 days week in Japan for Microsoft since I think it was August, September 2019. So can you share with us a little bit more of the experience, how it started, what did you learn, what were some of the challenges, and where it is now?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, last year we did it, and then not immediately after that, but after we made some external communication. Many people came to us, and we received tons of questions, and many people wanted to understand what happened and what's the key or something like that. Anyway, so starting point was the coming Tokyo Olympic Games, and actually it was postponed, but last year we didn't expect this postponement. So we planned. I mean, at that time, actually, Tokyo local governor and also the Japanese government requested us, companies and organizations, to reduce the commuting volume for this coming Tokyo Olympic Games. Then we wanted to make it by ourselves. So how to reduce the commuting to the office. That's the first part of the beginning of the initiative. And also, we really believe Microsoft is the top runner in work style innovation in Japan. I do believe so. And we wanted to challenge something big, something new, something fresh. Then the country president wanted to make it for their work in August. Honestly speaking, at the beginning, we received lots of objections, and but somehow very much casually, we made the decision locally, and then after that I got the approval from headquarters. Of course, this really needed headquarters approval, and then objective is not just enjoying one more day vacation day off per week. No, not that way. And our objective is how to keep or how to increase productivity with this style. That's the starting point. And we really wanted to show, okay, we can work much more productively. That's our objective. And our employees reacted to the plan, the initiative, negatively first. And they told us it's really impossible. The reason is clear. They have tons of things to do. Already, we are busy, so why can't we do it? That's the first reaction. They told us they need 5 days a week. We made the announcement in April and asked all team members to start thinking about how to be well prepared for their work. So we had some enough preparation time. Then in August, everything went well. I can't say everything went well. No significant issues. I think employees' satisfaction level can be something like 97, 98%, almost perfect.
Wow.
And employees really experienced very packed 4 days, very busy 4 days a week, but also more relaxed 3 days a week. And again, I want to repeat one thing. Our approach was really to increase the productivity. Then our approach was to measure the changes with numbers. Microsoft always wants to make tracking with numbers. And we have also technologies. Then we made full tracking of individual work style. So some facts we have. One thing is, for example, before we had many 60 minutes meetings, but all those 60 minutes meetings went to 30 minutes. Because anyway, we got to finish a lot of meetings, but we cannot spend 60 minutes. So just the meeting lengths went shorter. And it means also, I think productivity went up and meeting participants went smaller. So sometimes multiple people participated in the same meeting together from, but now from one team, only one person, one representative. That's a good change. And customer visiting time, no change. We really need to visit customers. We need to prioritize customer time. So no change. And sales number was really okay. And satisfaction level went up significantly, and in short, we really showed a good productivity in August. In September, interesting thing happened. Many people came back to me and they said to me, they cannot work 5 days a week anymore. And that's so funny. Before they said, I cannot do 4-day work, but now they said, I cannot work 5 days a week. And I told them, this is not my official comment, but I can say it's up to you. We don't control your time. We expect you to deliver your outcome as promised. So how to do is up to you. That's actually my policy and also the company policy. And my personal opinion is that providing one more vacation day, but more strongly asking 5-day work from home every day in August could be more interesting. So maybe this year, if situation, I mean, if this current COVID crisis is gone away, then maybe this summer we can challenge something different, like a 5-day or almost no office hour in August, something like that. Still, I'm sure we can keep our productivity, or maybe we can increase the productivity. So anyway, I don't find any significant issues doing this in doing this 4-day work. And also after this COVID crisis, I really want to see some big changes in our work style. I wanna really contribute to this, not just for Microsoft, but for the society.
Yeah, that's excellent. I was actually really surprised when you told me that the biggest challenge came from the employees not actually wanting to work 4 days. And I think it just goes to show that so much of it is actually in the mindset. You know, now that they've done it, they're coming back to you and saying that, hey, you know what, I can't do 5 days anymore. So like when you are trying to implement change, how do you take people on the journey? How do you change that perception? Do you think it's just making a decision, leadership making a decision and just like run with it? Or is there any change management mechanisms that need to be applied to make sure that the employees shift their mindset at the same time?
I want to say we had a great change management plan and we made great change management, but the reality is not that way. We really made the decision, okay, do it. And at least senior leaders, they really wanted to make it. They were so excited. They really wanted to test this approach. So with this commitment, with this passion. So we just made the decision. Then this is non-negotiable. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started thinking about how to prepare for the coming.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the reason.
Yeah. I love that because, we work with a lot of clients, and a lot of times the biggest questions that we receive is, like, how do we manage this change, etc. But I think this COVID experience actually taught everybody a really valuable lesson, which is it's actually a decision. You decide to work from home, boom, you did that. You decide to remote work, boom, like people follow. So it's actually about making that leadership decision and then build your workforce to prepare for it. So thank you so much for that. And I think you talked about obviously sort of like what could happen to the way we work after COVID. And we've got actually a number of questions that's coming through already from the audience. And Katie is asking that during sort of COVID, obviously everyone is in shock a little bit. With sort of like the commute and everything. This has brought to like Japan's sort of like hierarchical work culture and sort of technical inability to work from home. So like, in your opinion, do you think COVID will accelerate Japan's like shift towards a more modern remote working style? Or do you think after this, it will go back to the way it was?
That's a good question. That's a good question. And first of all, I think with this COVID thing,
Hi, Cass. We will just give him a couple of moments. Hi, Kat.
Sorry.
I think you dropped off for a second.
Really, so sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back on.
Okay, so let me restart from the first, from the starting point. And first of all, I don't think we really change.
I think Kat's just having a little bit of a connection issue. We'll just give him a couple of moments to come back on.
Oops.
Hi, Kat. I think you are back on.
So sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Perfect.
Yes, so sorry. By the way, I think this is also our new normal. And
yes.
the difficulties, but also sometimes kids and dogs or cats, they can also disturb us, but it's our new normal. Anyway.
Absolutely.
So back to your question. I think, first of all, I really believe we didn't change our work style. Just some advanced companies, they are more aggressive at this point, but still the group of those companies are very small. And there are, I think, plenty of companies which have huge opportunities. And many companies can make much more small or maybe sometimes big, but small mistakes when they see work style innovation or remote work and D&I. So I think people, sorry, I'm sorry, but I probably missed your point. Maybe could you
Yes.
repeat? Question once again.
Yes, yeah. I think it's just sort of like, do you see COVID-19 as an opportunity for Japan's workplace to
Yeah, yeah.
accelerate the change to remote
Mhm.
working and more modern style of work? Or do you think people will go back to the old normal?
I'm sure if we don't take any clear actions now, I
Mm,
think just the people will go back to the old normal.
mm,
And I think this new normal is still not yet in practice in many companies.
mm,
Now people are actually just forced to stay at home,
mm.
but we really need to change some of like a corporate culture or maybe HR policies and practices much more.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I think nothing will be sustainable. I think
you're
also
absolutely.
right now, I think in many companies, I think the productivity clearly went down. I
Mm,
think.
mm, mm.
Sorry, my dog probably.
No worries, we love it. And that's why we've titled this webinar series to be, leading from the living room, right? Because that's
Yeah.
actually the reality that we're working with now. So we've got another question from the audience, which is linked to what you mentioned about, in order to drive change, it needs to be very intentional. So how can leaders best influence the culture in Japan surrounding this inactiveness of accepting flexibility and inclusion policies? For example, maybe leaders don't feel they need to take parental leave or worry about promotion as a result of that. So I think Microsoft actually has a lot of experience in that field. So it would be great to hear your experience on this.
That's also another great question. And I think Microsoft is also not perfect. And I want to share some experience here. And for example, about diversity and inclusion. I'm a big fan of diversity and inclusion, and I actually made a lot of changes in this area. But at the beginning of my time, some senior leaders came to me and asked me, like, where is the special headcount to hire female? Or where is the special headcount to assign female managers? Of
Mm,
course, there is no such headcount.
mm,
And it was just 2, 3, 4 years ago, not 10 years ago. So
mm,
today, I think those leaders are not in Microsoft Japan anymore. And I think leadership mindset change is really needed. I
mm,
think not just in Japan, but in Japan, especially leadership, leadership mindset change, leadership behavior change is so much important, especially because Japanese culture is much more hierarchical than other country cultures. So
mm,
that's also my belief. And uh, also, I wanna talk about one more point.
mm,
I have uh, I have very strong personal belief. If we really want to change something,
mm,
we need to measure it continuously.
mm,
And so always my approach is to set the target clearly and to make every month tracking.
mm,
Only I think a one by one change can bring us something significant, something big in
mm,
future. And many times I see, especially in HR, we really do not make a lot of tracking. We
mm,
just talk a lot,
mm.
mostly conceptual things, but
Yeah.
those things will not change the situation many times. And one more point, maybe I wanna touch. So sometimes people say, like, if the topic is D&I or maybe work style innovation, then setting target or making tracking is not inclusive approach.
Mm,
Theoretically, I do agree.
mm,
Okay, this is not so inclusive.
mm,
But if we don't take this approach, I
mm,
think nothing will happen.
mm,
And I'm always pushing all business leaders strongly, always and anytime. I
mm,
think some push is really needed to change the current status.
mm,
And so also I mentioned Microsoft has a very much data-driven culture. Then also I'm sending monthly report type of thing to all senior leaders,
mm,
especially on work style and also D&I status
mm, mm,
with with my strong recommendation and comments. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. And I think, Cass, you mentioned about fact-based and data-driven decision a number of times, and I think that absolutely is something that business leaders need to do. But usually we've just got, but usually it takes time to collect data, and takes time to analyze it and then form a decision as a result of that. So how do you balance a sense of urgency if a fast decision is needed and combine that with making the right decision with the data?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good question. And I usually don't want to say Microsoft is special or maybe Microsoft is good. But at this point, I have to say Microsoft is special. And this is one reason I joined the company. The company has super great technologies to make all the tracking. I mean, to make much more data-driven HR, we have everything. So at this point, I don't need to spend time to collect numbers, data, facts, and just what I need to do is go to the site and I can get all the data very quickly. And also visually, we can show everything to business leaders. So in my case, when I have one-on-one with country president, always I prepare some data, numbers to him. I think then I really learned if we have some concrete numbers, business leaders, they are much more interested in our discussion, our topics, our priorities. And if we just provide some conceptual topics, or maybe the person has some developmental issues, people say blah, blah, blah. So business leaders can lose their interest very quickly. Numbers and some facts are really important. So at this point, I have to say Microsoft is a bit special, and but I really think in future, I think many companies will have a similar data-driven HR platform, and it will help HR people's everyday life, and also it will help business leaders' decision making, and especially quick decision making.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. And I think on like numbers and measurable outcomes, Microsoft has actually seen an increase of 8% year on year over the past 4 years for senior level female leaders. And that's a core area of focus for many Japanese companies. Can you share a little bit of your experience in driving that and what's worked and what's not worked?
Thank you. And let me share some my experience and also some numbers. So actually also we will show another 2% increase of the diverse population in Japan. So in total, in the past 4 years, we will increase diverse population by 8%. So every year, roughly speaking, every year, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%. That's what we have done. And now we are really focusing on how to increase senior level female leaders. And originally our focus was to increase the total population, but it's not enough. And we really need to have much more diverse population in our decision-making platform, decision-making meetings. Otherwise, always some decisions were made by, in this case, male only. So sometimes I hear, okay, the lady seems to be really great, but the promotion is a bit too early, or maybe this is not the timing, something like that. What are you talking about? And so when would be the best timing for you, for her? So all those things can happen. But when we have much more female leaders in decision-making meetings, things will be totally different. And that's really important. And also for business, I think we have much more diverse population in the senior level is really important to make better decision. And also, I wanna touch one point. First of all, I think D&I is not the goal. D&I is, for me, D&I is a process or maybe tool to become a better and more capable and more creative organization. So D&I is actually one of our Microsoft 5 culture attributes. And we do believe a diverse and inclusive organization will be more capable and competent in a long run. The point is in a long run. And also Microsoft is in tech industry. So I think creativity and innovation are really the key to be successful. And in short, D&I is our business strategy, and my message to some organizations is please think about what is really needed for you guys and to be successful as organization. And if the answer is not D&I, I think it can be their answer. And maybe D&I is not the priority for them. So why do you need to do it is really important. I think it's not just a D&I, but also work style innovation and everything, remote work, everything. So many times I see without the question, many companies or many senior leaders, they just automatically started some initiatives, but it will not continue.
I think you've mentioned a really important point of starting an initiative versus actually sustaining it, continuing it, and seeing great results from it. So I think you've actually, like, once again, like, love the realness about your suggestions and your insight, which is ask yourself the question why you are doing it, get clear about the outcome that you want to see, and then commit to, you know, D&I initiatives if it's actually the right solution for you at that point in time. So thank you so much for that. And we are continuing to get a lot of questions from the audience. I love it. So we just got a couple of people asking you specifically, you talked about, like, once again, like, data-driven decisions is really important. What actions were needed to transform HR into a data-driven decision-making sort of way of working? How do you shift your HR from non-data driven into a more analytical mindset?
I think there are some key points. One thing is, of course, we need technology. And before, at this point, all those technologies are super expensive. And before joining Microsoft, also, I really wanted to be more data-driven, fact-based. But at that time, I couldn't make it because we really didn't have such super expensive HR technologies at that time. But now it is more feasible. I mean, it's possible. It's possible to introduce some technologies, and technologically also it's not so difficult. It's more user friendly now. So it's okay. That's one thing. So technology is one of the key points. And the other point is really interesting. And in Microsoft, we have such a great technology. So for me, wow, this is great. So this is enough. So I expected everybody, all my team members, they would start some data-driven approach to their business leaders. I really expected. Naively, I expected, but nothing really happened at first. So why? You have tools, you have this great tools. Why don't you do any? Then one lady came to me and she asked me, can you spend an hour together with me and can you show how to use the data in front of business leaders? So I really showed what I did to business leaders in front of all my team members. I used this data. Then I proposed this things. And I made some comparison with, say, UK or maybe Canada. And then I proposed maybe our business difficulty comes from this part. Maybe we do not have tech area capabilities here, or maybe we have not senior level account executives. That's the reason. So like this, I showed what I was doing for business leaders in front of all team members. Then they understood. Okay, this is the way to propose things with data. So this part, I actually underestimated at this point. So I automatically believed they could do it, but no. How to use it is really important.
Yeah, great. So I think not making assumptions about people's capability or understanding around what a data-driven decision looks like is really key. And Kaz, I would love to sort of like ask you, there's currently a lot of fear, uncertainty in the workplace right now about the situation. But I think the important thing for us is to make sure that the business can continue to evolve and pivot, during this time. So how do we, but usually when there's uncertainty, people are not in the headspace to be creative and to come up with new ideas to evolve the business. So what's your suggestion to everyone who's tuning in to manage sort of like uncertainty and innovative thinking at the same time?
Okay, that's also a big question for us. And one thing I'm so happy here in Microsoft is many people already started some initiatives by themselves. So it means based on our corporate culture, already people think about some other peoples and also customers and societies immediately, and they wanted to do something which can help them. So also people sense they are allowed to take those actions by themselves without asking their supervisor's approval, if it is okay or not okay. So basics, foundation is already here, and making mistakes is fine here, and learning from those challenges is critical. So especially I want to share some practices like digital coffee time and digital lunch, digital dinner, digital drink, probably not yet digital karaoke, probably. And already I saw digital workout in Japan, Microsoft, and digital, learning sessions for working parents, and also digital seminar to share from remote work practices internally and also with customers. And approaching also some people did some actions, like approaching central local government or consulting firms to discuss how to make remote work more real and sustainable in Japan. So I'm so happy to see all those great innovative actions, thinking, behaviors in my colleagues. I think everything actually came from all the experiences before COVID. Already people experienced, okay, Microsoft culture is like this, and in Microsoft, I can do it without any approval. And the company trusts me, and the company allows me to do something good for the society, for the customers. I think all those things are important. Without this level of trust, I think people will not take any innovative actions.
Yeah, absolutely. And love those creative ideas that's coming through as well. And I think even for our team as well, like we've seen a lot of creativity and new ways of engagement coming through this time. So I think it's definitely a really interesting point in time where we can use this to actually get ahead and to evolve and to pivot. So for the last 10 minutes of the discussion, we've got a lot of questions coming from the audience as well, which is fantastic. So I'll try to get through as many of them as possible. So we've got one sort of asking around, as we start to work from home, this audience is getting the impression from senior business leaders that what is HR doing to keep people motivated? And I feel that this is not exactly just the role of HR. This should be the role of everybody. So like, what's your idea on this and how do we manage conversations like that?
That's good. And still, of course, it's a big topic for us. Every day we are discussing how to keep people's motivation. And by the way, so I think now two things are really important. First one is clarity, and the second one is energy. And clarity means people really need to understand what is important now, what's the priority, what they have to deliver. And when we have had time together with other colleagues in person, it was relatively okay. I mean, people can discuss things in person and people can check each other. So clarity is not so important, and we can check each other continuously. But now maybe every day only 30 minutes, or maybe 30 minutes a week, we can make some catch up. Other than this 30 minutes, actually we have to trust the team members. Actually, I trust my team members fully. So for me, I think to provide clarity is very important. And the other point is energy. So I have already shared such a digital coffee, or maybe digital beer time, or digital workout. I think anyway, to provide some more fun time is really important to keep them energized. And at this point, also, I really learned one thing. Before starting any meetings, I think we really need to make check-in. Check-in means how are you doing and what's on your mind and what's the problem, what's the issues, all those things. So in short, I think we really need to show much more empathy to the other side, more than before. And so for me right now, I really feel to provide clarity and to provide energy. Those two things are really the key to run the business, run the organization. And without clarity and without energy, I think any organization can be in trouble pretty soon under this COVID situation.
Fantastic. Clarity and energy. There's a lot of clarity in that answer you've just provided. So that's really practical. Thank you. We've got two questions specifically around the 4 days working week Microsoft has introduced. One is, how did management team decide on how to split the working days? Is it Monday and Friday are the most popular days to take off, or is there any specific arrangement around that?
So that's an interesting question. And Microsoft Japan is basically sales and marketing organization. So sales and marketing people automatically felt no Monday. Monday is important. Monday is the key day for sellers. So not Monday. And then it means almost automatically it went to Friday. Okay, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 consecutive days off. And then we made the announcement. Wow, we forgot the engineering team. So they started coming to us, and for them, they really wanted to make it on Sunday. Monday. Monday. There is a reason, because our Monday is still US people's Sunday many times. Not many times, always. Yeah, always. So it means they will not receive a lot of emails or maybe phone calls from US side if we make it on Monday. So we actually provided some flexibility to the teams. So almost all teams went to Friday, and only engineering team, they went to Monday. So we were a bit flexible at this point, but also it was a big learning for me. I need to be more fact-based. I need to check the other side, all the members much more carefully. So.
Great. And just a quick question from the audience, were staff paid less? So were they paid 4 days or paid still at 5 days?
No pay cut.
No pay cut. Fantastic. And yet employees still didn't want it. It's really curious, isn't it?
It's a curious point. I mean, Japanese employees are like this. So they are not so money driven, and just for them, sometimes, working time is so precious.
Yeah.
So precious. And they really also want to keep the same status quo. I mean, the same practice.
Yeah.
So they don't want to change what they are doing. That's also one reason, I guess.
Yeah, fantastic. And so we've got last 5 minutes left with you, and we've got 2 questions from the audience around D&I and female leadership specifically. One question, wondering how Microsoft convinced senior leaders that D&I can actually impact business success. And then another question on when it comes to senior female leadership, they've experienced a lot of women, they actually didn't want to take up promotional opportunities. Have you experienced that, and how did you overcome that challenge?
Can I respond to the second question first?
Yes, please.
My favorite question, and I have my answer here. I received the same question so many times, not just in Microsoft, everywhere. Everywhere people say, I asked my female employees, but they don't say they want to be manager. They always say, it's not now. It maybe timing doesn't work now, something like that. Always senior leaders, senior male leaders, they say so. But I don't believe this. First of all, I really don't believe this. I think when senior leaders ask things to somebody male, those people ask this way, do you want to be manager? And to female employees, do you really want to be a manager now? Something like that. Can you see the difference? Some nuance. So everybody is so smart, they can sense what types of answers are really expected by supervisors. So it's very easy to respond to supervisors. Oh, yeah, yes, but not now, maybe in future, something like that. So at this point, I think we really need to encourage our female employees to show their career aspiration much more clearly, much more openly. And yesterday, we just finished almost 1 day female leadership development session, and we invited very senior level female executive from other company. And the person really made very much impactful presentation and speech and Q&A, everything. So using those great cases, we can encourage our female employees, okay, it's not a dream, it's something real. You can be like this. You can learn a lot from this person. This person is not somebody super special, maybe a bit special, but they're not super special. So we need to show some role model or maybe some examples to our employees, female employees more. Then people can be more confident. That's my learning. Sorry, first question is how to convince senior leaders, correct?
That's right. I think you probably already answered that with the data you talked about earlier about bring to leaders with numbers and data-driven decisions. And I actually really love your answer for the second question. I think it's really, because we hear that all the time as well. And I think it's not, it's actually reflecting on how we are asking the question. You know, are we empowering people, or are we bringing our own bias into the question that we ask? when it comes to promoting women into leadership roles. So that brings us to 1 p.m. Japan time and 2 p.m. Australia time. Thank you so much, Cass. Thank you. That was so insightful, so practical, and I just love the sort of like realness and the honesty that you really bring to the discussion as well. So thank you once again so much for being with us today. And I think just looking through the number of questions that's being submitted as well, it's like probably one of the most engaging conversations that we've had. So for everyone who might be tuning in for the first time and who are not yet connected across the different platforms we have, make sure you sign up onto our newsletter or connect with us via social channels so you can keep up to date on everything that's happening, because we've got a very exciting next webinar organized for you already with the Vice President for Adobe Japan, Natsumi-san, who will actually be sharing with us her personal journey, as well as using COVID-19 as an opportunity to pivot your business and to innovate with your leadership team as well. So once again, thank you to every single person who have tuned in today. And once again, thank you so much, Sugita-san, for spending your time with us, and appreciate your knowledge, insight, and wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.